give you my 10 seconds, and then we'll get on to it. Hey, how you guys doing out here? James Humphrey with another episode of Real Talk with Real Men. I got my co-host with me, Kyle Stanley. I got Griff with me over here. In today's episode, we are talking about street life.
Yes, sir.
The hood.
Okay. That's one part of it. You ain't got to be in the hood to be in the street.
But, you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm going to start this episode off with saying, and it's going to be very controversial. I don't want to say it's controversial, but it's a little odd. I felt like, just growing up, I didn't really have a street life.
Okay.
Like, I grew up with obviously with my dad. Mom left when I was 13, so growing up with my dad in that pivotal time of a teenager, growing up, it's like I was caged up for a while.
Uh-huh.
I didn't do much, and so I didn't really get out in the streets. You know what I mean? I never sold drugs, never tried drugs. I knew, hood niggas. I knew hood people, people that shot people, went to jail and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I didn't really have...
We all know them.
Yeah, I didn't really have a street life, And then here's another thing is I love movies, obviously. Yeah. That's how all this shit started, whatever. So even watching movies like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, even Baby Boy, all this other shit at a young age, I knew I'm not going to end up like them, so I'm not going to make the same dumbass mistakes. I'm going to be like Trey, and I'm going to be like, hey man, let me out, dog.
Give me exactly.
Let me out, dog. You know what I mean? It's like I knew the people to hang out with. I knew the people not to hang out with.
Though.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So when I think street life, I'm thinking, struggling to pay bills, shit like that, out there hustling.
Alternative methods of gaining finances.
Yes.
Is what I would say.
But let's talk about it. Let's talk it for real men out there.
Okay.
How do we navigate away or from, the street life? And we know what we're talking about. The pharmaceuticals, the murders,
so the negative
killings,
side.
The negative side. We know what we're talking about street life.
Okay, how do we
navigate away from it? Griff, you got something?
Well, I'd say it's number one. It starts at home.
Yeah.
You gotta have that structure. Exactly. First teacher, you gotta structure with your parents. I grew up in the hood. I grew up in Casey Mo, and we were the only probably decent house on the whole block.
Yeah.
So and I gotta say, my father is a big part of that. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of kids they don't have that role model having a father figure, so they look for that attention from the guys in the streets,
Mm-hmm.
the gang members. I want that camaraderie. Everybody wants camaraderie. We're tribal,
Mm-hmm.
So or the drug dealers, he got all the money, he got the cars and the women. The pimps, he got the women. The gangs, I could have brothers and we can, they all throwing up gang signs and right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is. Without having that father, paternal figure in your life, or just having that structure period at home.
Yeah.
That's where it starts, and then you're looking for attention in all the wrong places,
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. I guess I could say the same thing my dad most definitely said. You ain't hanging out with them niggas. You ain't hanging out with them niggas. You go wear your pants on your waist. You go do this. You trying to hang out with who? I don't know them niggas. No, you ain't going. Right. You know what I mean? So I can give kudos to him for that. It got to a point where it's like, hey man, I'm 18. I can get the fuck out of here. I got the bar. See, I need to get out.
Yeah.
But even when I got out there, it was like, okay, it was already programmed in my mind. Like, okay, I know this dude. He a piece of shit. I ain't hanging out with this dude. I know this dude. He doing this shit. I'm not hanging out with him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I guess my friend zone kept, very, worked very, very, very small. From that time frame.
Okay.
So yeah,
I would say I grew up getting a taste of both. I grew up in Wyandotte County, Kansas as well.
Okay.
Well, he said Casey Mo, but I grew up on the Wyandotte side, just to specify since it's such a big thing.
Yeah.
My dad was a street affiliate.
Yeah. You don't have to say too much. I get it.
My mom was a white collar, I would say.
The opposite.
She worked and went to her job, came home type stuff, but she didn't really explore outside with me, so I didn't really get a step into the environment, to the hood that was surrounding us at a young age. With my mom, she kind of let me go on my own and figure out things on my own accord, but that was in a small perimeter around our house.
Okay.
That's how I was kind of let out as a young kid, play around here type shit, but with my mom, she was not an outside person, so you go outside by your motherfucking self.
Okay.
And I witnessed and saw the things going on, drug dealers, hood cats, you know, people banging and whatnot, or just cliques of teenagers, you know, hanging around. They ain't necessarily got to be a gang, but just a bunch of people hanging out, talking, bullshitting. A couple of girls around. Back in the day, we used to dance and, you know, party in the streets or hoop in the streets and shit like that. So you see it, and occasionally you might see a gun get pulled out, or some people do some, you know, nefarious things to the side, a couple exchanges. So I saw it from a glance that way, but I was thoroughly introduced to it with my father. I went and visited him on the weekends and in the summer.
Okay.
And running around with him, being under his wing and everything, I was face to face handshakes and first name basis with all the criminals you wanted to know in the city. So I got to know them as people. You know what I'm saying? Outside of whatever their occupation is or is not, I got to know them as people and shit. We kept comedy going. These motherfuckers are funny. They kept some comedy going, some drama and some events were going on. You know, the hood trials and tribulations. You get an early introduction to this shit way before my time, but it opened my eyes to what is out there and what is available.
Yeah.
So just as well as it wasn't the best, you know, experience or the best role models to be around, it also gave me that example of, yeah, you don't want to do this shit too long. You don't want to be around this area too long because this motherfucker just went to jail. This motherfucker just came back from going to jail. These folks just got shot last week. His cousin just got killed you know what I'm saying? Like, those stories are common. So it lets you know, hey, if you want to be a part of this comes with it. So being able to see both sides of, hey, my mom working hard, kind of stayed within the lines and keep me in school, do good, and my dad kind of wide open, free range to do whatever you want to, but he was very strict in his own rules, but I was still out in the streets with him type things. Like, so I don't know how to discern between going away from it, or for me, I like to find advantages in it.
Okay.
I relate a lot of street life to business management and how you would want to be strategic to achieve a task, achieve a goal, whether it's gain finances or gain allies or gain relationships or whatever it may be, resources, and navigate around all the pitfalls of opposition, pettiness, drama, female drama, the cops, government influence and stuff like that. How do I get a piece of profit for me and make it back home safe? So I learned all that shit in the streets. Apply that to a job and everything. How can I make this most advantageous for me? So
That's a good way of
what you
thinking
want to
of
do with it.
I think, I don't want to misquote it, but I think it was Elon Musk that said most drug dealers know how to run, you know, $1 million companies than the CEOs
better
of them do.
than a college educated person.
You know, how do we bestow this on the younger generation? 'Cause I'm thinking of we all have sons. We all have sons.
Okay.
I'm thinking for my son, you know, I can't keep him away from it. There's no doing what my dad did and then keeping him inside and sheltering him from it. He's going to experience at one point in time. He's going to run into some guy that's bigger than him, that's oppressing him or something like that. He's going to run into it, you know what I mean? Or whatever kind of situation. It's more or less, I want to teach him how to handle these situations compared to trying to avoid them. You know, obviously, if you want to avoid them, you want to avoid them as best as possible.
Yeah.
But I mean, even in school, we all been in school. You know what I mean? You all know what the fuck goes on in school. You know, it's, if anything, it's like it's a lot like jail. You know, you snitch on these people go to hear about it, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Retaliating, all that.
All that shit. You know what I mean? You know, even at lunch, like you gotta protect your food at lunch, or other people go fuck with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do we bestow this as real men onto our younger generation? And with me, from my standpoint, is more or less teachings and goal settings.
Okay.
Compared to just saying, "Hey, these are the
Don't
rules."
do that.
You know,
Don't do that. Because I said don't do it.
Yeah.
This is a reason why I'm saying don't do it.
Yeah. You know.
Well, from my perspective, it's kind of a double-edged sword because I grew up in the hood, but I'm raising my son in the suburbs.
Yeah.
So he won't acquire that street sense and that street smarts. He won't have to deal with the the obstacles I dealt with,
Okay.
in a bad neighborhood. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword because he won't know how to navigate certain things. Like speaking of what you said about taking advantage of being in that environment, you learn how to be discern, certain people. You learn not to be so gullible, not to be so naive.
Recognize red flags.
Exactly, because when you're growing up in that bubble, you don't really know what to look for.
Yeah.
But when you see certain people, how they move, how they act, why is he wearing that? Why does he look like that? Why are all these guys dressed like this? Or you see certain things.
Pick up on it.
Exactly. So without being in that environment, those are advantages that, like I said, that you can take in anywhere.
Yeah.
How to discern,
Body language.
Exactly.
Read a room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I based on my experience, I learned not to be gullible and naive. Sometimes the hard way. Sometimes it just happened to be fortunate.
Yeah.
There's not a manual for street life.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part about it, is that there's not a man. I can't flip through a manual. It's like, hey, the X times B times
Yeah.
whatever equals C, whatever. But there's no manual for street life. It's a lot of going through experiences and learning from the experiences more than I guess going through them. And that's what I kind of find difficult when I'm saying I'm going to teach my son. Explain to him like, hey, this is this, and this, and I mean, he can only believe me so much without
Yeah.
actually going through that experience himself.
Yeah.
Especially like the first heartbreak.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you driving down this particular street. It's like, hey, these are the bitches you want to avoid. You see this one on the corner?
Yeah.
Don't go to those people.
Yeah.
Or don't hang out in these places. Or don't go to these places. I know you're gonna want to.
Yeah.
Something you just got to experience for yourself.
You know what I'm saying? But,
Yeah,
it just,
something.
but you just don't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that can only go so far.
Yeah.
I would advocate preparedness, educating them and letting them know what things are and the reasons why you don't want them to partake or to abstain from certain things. I don't think sheltering a child from hard truths or things like that
Yeah.
will benefit them later on in life, but if you can explain them to a level of their understanding, whatever age they may encounter something that needs some explaining, if you can break it down in words that they can digest, I believe that's better for them to cope with and deal with rather than not say anything, because I got a lot of that shit. It was a lot of the rules are the rules because I said they're the rules. And that makes you wonder, well, damn, why are these the rules? Why am I the only one that has to follow the rules? You don't follow your own rules that you're telling me to follow. So that makes you kind of be more mentally rebellious before you are physically acting on it.
I can
You
most
start to
definitely relate
wonder.
to that.
You start to wonder before you start, getting curious and breaking out of those boundaries. So I would rather be informed and prepare. Like for my son, I'm from the hood. I'm raising him in the suburbs as well. But shoot, we go fishing, just regular, survival tactics, fishing. I'm about to start teaching them how to shoot soon.
Oh, there you go.
Noticing red flags. My dad, when I was riding around with him, he always told me, watch around for people. And you sitting in the car, keep your head on the swivel. Don't let anybody approach you from a blind side that you're not paying attention. Things like that, I believe everyone can use to their advantage, even females. So teaching things like that within the house, to be self-aware, to be aware of your environment, to listen more than you speak. Don't be such a person to kind of verbally vomit, give up too much information before you know what the situation is, or if you're familiar with the party that you're engaging with. Keep a little privacy to yourself and things like that.
Yeah.
That's all things that I was preached as a young I don't want to say street apprentice, but street apprentice. Those were my dad's rules of thumb, you know what I'm saying? To keep you safe, keep you out of trouble, things like that. So I definitely appreciate them because it has saved my life literally at least 3 times within the near past within the recent years. I've had situations where life and death was an option, and I, following and listening to my dad's advice, was prepared. I saw the shit coming. I was happy. I'm a person that carries daily, often, most of the time, and when I have my gun on me, I mean, I'm not boastful about it, and most of the time you'll never know that I have it, but that's just part of being prepared. I've carried a pocket knife on me since I was 6 years old.
Oh wow.
Before it was a gun, it was a pocket knife. So like those
So,
type
like,
of practices.
Like the little ones, the little.
Yes,
I
buddy.
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Those practices, live with you and help you later on in life. So definitely being informative and prepared.
There you go. I had a question, man. I lost it, man. You ran it
Okay.
for a good though. You popped though. That was good.
All right.
Griff, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, as far as raising your son, man, I completely agree. Like, one of the things that I like to instill in him is like, I like to use an illustration approach. Like, illustrate why this is bad. Like, or how would you feel if this happened to you?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you did that, and I use this with women too, because it's anyways. It's like, how would you feel if I did what you just did? You know, if
How does it feel to receive that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then they're thinking, instead of just saying don't do that, you kind of create an empathetic approach. You make them feel empathy. Like,
Yeah,
damn, that
connected
would
to a
suck.
reason, yeah.
Like you do things without acting. So this is the consequences of that. So I try to instill these things. Like that's my style of teaching, at least with my son. I don't just be a tyrant. Like don't do
Yeah.
that
Right.
just because. No, I hate that. Like you said, we were raised that way. Hate that shit.
it's
You touch the stove, it's hot. You're gonna find out. Like,
Right.
Well, why don't touch the stove? Because you're gonna get burned.
Right.
I'm not just telling you don't touch the stove. But yeah, that's my style because I want him to learn the lesson from why I don't want him. Don't when you look
Right.
both ways, or when you cross the street, look both ways. Why? Because you might get hit by a car. I'm not gonna just tell you these things as a tyrant because I'm your dad.
Yeah.
It's because I'm trying to teach you these lessons to make you, number one, into a better man.
Yeah.
Self-sufficient. Be self-sufficient. That's highly important. Like,
Yes.
and I like to. Speaking on another thing, the difference between a mother and a father. The mother will do for you, and a father will teach you how to do. Your
True.
father will give you skills, where the mother. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that's nature. Mothers are nurturers,
Yeah, we all know that.
and we're teachers. So typically, we like the old parable. I'd rather teach you how to fish than give you a fish.
Mm-hmm.
That's typically the difference. The mother will keep giving you the fish every day, make sure my baby fed.
Right.
And the father's gonna teach you how to fish. So in case I'm not here tomorrow,
You can carry
You
on.
can exactly. So that's that dynamic that I try to teach my son. Like, you're gonna clean up your shoe, or clean up your room. I make him tie. He's still learning to master tying his shoes. I make him tie his shoes 10 times before he goes to bed. He hates it.
Uh-huh.
Like, these are things that, and when I was a kid, some things my dad did, I hated it.
Yeah,
but in
man.
hindsight, I'm grateful. You know
Yes.
what I mean? As a man, it's like, damn. Like, one lesson I would never forget, and this stuck to me to this day. My best friend next door, we were both Pokemon fanatics back then. He had, back in the day, it was just the first 150, he had the whole book with all of them, the holographics, all that in the back.
Right.
One day he left it on the porch, and he was my best friend, and I stole the Charizard, the holographic Charizard. That thing was worth probably $300. But, we were kids, Pokemon just did that to our brains back then.
Yeah.
I don't care, I want it.
You think about the ramifications.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Exactly.
Try to catch them all.
Exactly. So I took it. My dad found out. He made me go to my friend next door, give it back to him, and apologize. Of course, our friendship ended after that. I was like in the 5th grade.
Yeah.
My friendship ended after that. But he taught me integrity.
Yes.
He's like, you need to be accountable and for your fuck ups.
Yes.
I hated it. I hated it because I lost my friend. I hated it because I felt, I got found out, so I had to give him his car back.
That's shameful and all.
Exactly, shame. All these feelings because of my dad. He made me feel all these bad feelings, but in hindsight, I'm grateful.
Put you in that skillet so you can
Yeah,
feel that.
exactly.
And
So
that's a very valuable lesson.
yeah, stuff like that I try to instill in my son. He's gonna. I don't want to care about being your friend, but you might not even like me sometimes. But when you grow up and you're older and wise, you're like, damn, I'm glad my dad taught me. Damn, I'm glad my dad taught me that. I remember my dad kept saying that. Just things like that, man. So that's the approach I'm taking.
I like it, Steve.
Yeah, I definitely echo that, and I believe the explanation part is just key because I was hammered on both sides, mom and father, and it was stay within the lines, and that just shrinks you down into the box that they want you to be. I got to have no personality of my own because I was always trying to navigate around their temperaments, not trying to make too much of a commotion or a scene or, anything, really trying not to be noticed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just so I could have some peace. So that just shrinks you to a box. That shrinks your personality, your aspirations, your goal. That just shrinks every damn thing till you're living in someone else's shadow. And like I said, I was not explained to why you don't do this, why you don't do that. So it's like, give that explanation. That gives someone something to work with. That gives someone some reason to balance everything else off of. You know, rather than just going off of, I know this is word because my dad told me. My dad wouldn't lie to me. My dad wouldn't lie to me. And you might not know your dad is only dealing with the best information he has at the time. Your parents are only dealing with the best information they may have at the time. So they may not intentionally lie, but they may not tell you the best information or the advice. So having a reason or something that you can reference with your peers, talk to about with your peers. A lot of secrecy was a part of my childhood. So being able to open up and talk with your peers about, is this normal? Do you go through shit like this? Is it like this at your house? That's way more, I guess, helpful for a kid than any kind of guarding and keeping away and gatekeeping that you could do, I think. So if you don't want them to go to street life, it's not necessarily close the doors and block them off from it totally. But when you see the instances of, hey, that's a side effect of street life, let me use this as an educational time. Let me get right in their ear and tell them why you don't want to be in that situation or how actions can lead up to you being in that situation. You know?
I know I can't avoid the situations, but I know that we could put them in better opportunities than we have. Obviously, you guys are you know, growing your boys up in the suburbs. You know, I'm in the building I'm at, which is not a bad neighborhood.
Not at all.
I just got a lot of homeless people. I live downtown, you know, so I just a lot of homeless people. So if anything, it's like, hey man, you don't want to end up like this dude. You got to make these right decisions, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can help them out, but you know, don't talk to them and don't do what they want you to do and don't let them in the building.
Most importantly, don't let them in the
building. Oh man, that's our advice for street life. You know, what's it? You can take the hood out of the person, but you can't take the person out of the hood, or is it something like
However
that?
you want to phrase it.
However you want to phrase something around there. It's our episode for street life. I got my co-host with me. I got Kyle Stanley. I got Griff with me. We'll see you guys next week on another episode of Real Talk with Real Men. Yeah.
Good night.
See ya. Woo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good flow, fellas.
Yeah. Nothing too. What time is it? You got enough time? No. Either one got enough time.
I got it right here. 38.
No, that's not bad. 40 minutes. Yeah, it's about
14.
Yeah, it's about 20 minutes. 20 something.
17, 18.
How's the motorcycle life?
Oh man, that was good. Like I'm about to start winterizing my bike. I need to get a wheel and an oil change. So I'm gonna get my bike ready.
Is your son still popping wheelies or?
Yeah, he got a mini bike and definitely enjoying that. We just rode that before we got here. I got off at 5, so we squeezed in a little ride around the block and stuff like that. But he loves that. I love that he loves that.
How old is your son?
He's 3. He's about to be 4 this month.
Oh, okay. Mine's 8.
He's about to be 4 this month. So.
There you go.
Enjoying that.
Still trying to plan a get together, so everybody can get together at the crib and do some stuff. I haven't figured it out yet. Didn't do the women's show today because one of them got sick, and so we had to postpone that. Other than that, we did the movie reviews were pretty good. Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's it, man. It's toward the end of the.
That's fine, bro.
It's toward the end of the season. We got 4 episodes left, man.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm ready to watch and binge. Goddamn. I've watched the first 4 week by week type stuff. Now I'm waiting for a nice clutch so I can go on and finish the
rest of the episode. Tell the world about it though.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Because I need
tell it all of my circle.
You know, I need that money.
We need. Goddamn.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I'll pay you eventually. We argued about that last episode. I actually watched that footage. That footage is actually pretty funny.
I didn't argue about a damn thing.
Yeah,
I'm just involved in the conversation.
Hatchet was the one like, I mean, when we getting paid for this, man? That motherfucker. As you see, he's not here. He'll be here with us hopefully next week. He's just MIA, missing in action.
Dang.
A little bit. That's it though.
Halloween? Did you go out for that? No?
So I wasn't lying about the cage thing.
Okay.
So
weren't allowed to experience
it wasn't that.
Halloween?
It wasn't that. It's just that my father just didn't do that stuff. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And my mom did that stuff. And then when we finally got to that age, it was like, I don't want to
Take
do this
it or
shit,
leave
you
it.
know? And so,
I'm kind of the same way. My family didn't encourage it or celebrate it. My mom didn't freaking celebrate it. My
You know.
dad didn't give a shit. He was in the streets, so
Yeah.
it was only a school activity. You
Yeah,
know, it was only
yeah.
a school
so
activity
Nick,
for me.
he did some stuff for school. And then
Yeah.
I bought them. I had them this week for Halloween. But like I said, I don't do shit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I bought him some snacks and then we watched TV. Oh, we watched Spider-Man. We watched
Nice.
Spider-Man Across the Universe on Netflix.
Cool.
So that's all we did.
I actually got to take my son trick or treating this year. I usually work, so that was good for me.
I think I saw the
enjoyed that.
photos on the video on Facebook.
I
Okay.
enjoyed that.
What did he dress
That
up
was
as?
fun. He was a police officer.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yes.
So last year he was a firefighter.
He was a firefighter.
Okay, yeah, I'm keeping up with you. I'm keeping up
Yes,
with you. Okay.
yes.
All right. How'd you feel about that?
Man, it gave me a pause. Honestly, it gave me a pause, bro. Had to reflect on it because I was driving when he told me, and this is just before Halloween. He just said it in general. He's like, "Dad, I want to be a police officer," and I was like,
Nigga, hell no.
and then I had to remove myself from the past. I'm like, nah, that's a good goddamn
Yeah, that's a
career
good
path,
career,
son.
man. That's a good career.
Be safe and
Yeah.
you know do what you got to do. But goddamn it,
Goddamn it.
man, in life we've never been friends with police officers. That was
I
always
get it, man. I get it.
opposite side of the fence. So
You know,
it's just
and-
like, goddamn.
That was something I grew up with. Like I grew up with my dad was in the sheriff's department, so naturally I
Yeah.
wanted to be a cop.
Uh-huh.
So growing up, telling people like, "Oh, I want to be a police officer," and even 5-year-olds hate cops,
Yeah.
which I couldn't understand. I was like,
I've been lying to the cops
You
since
know?
I was 5. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been lying since I was 5.
So I was
trained.
used to being hated all the way going up into high school and middle school and all this. It got to the point to where when people asked me what I wanted to be, I was like, I don't know, man.
Right.
Knowing damn well I wanted to be
Save
a cop.
the hassle.
Yeah, I was like, I don't
Bullshit.
know, man. I'll do something, you know. I
Right.
kept my damn mouth shut.
Right.
Oh, that shit was too much, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at it with pride now.
That's-
I look at it with pride now.
Yeah,
but God damn it.
you can be chief of
Dropping
police.
that bomb, I was like,
You can be chief of police, man. Be a detective.
good.
You know.
Solve some
Absolutely.
murders.
Yeah, solve some murders. Do something.
Do something. Help a little bit of that corruption situation.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Clean up the
Anything.
streets.
Yes.
And then have a good, phenomenal story behind it. It's like, hey, man, my dad
a
used to.
Netflix special.
Yeah.
Documentary.
Yeah. He could be the next, catch a serial killer, you know?
OJ.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
You can catch OJ.
If he steals some more memorabilia or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah, I would say.
He was exonerated for that other stuff.
I would say he'd probably be better off a firefighter. Like, if I could do it all over again, I'd be a firefighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get into that EMT money and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'll just want
Learn
to.
all of it.
I mean, how many fires do you actually fight, in this city?
Shit, they do a lot of other stuff though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Gotta go for wellness checks and all kind of shit.
And that's
Stuck
fine.
elevators.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Uh-huh.
Helping the fatty out of the window or whatever. I'm cool with that. But it's the fire part. It's the burning up part.
It's occasional.
You know?
You seen Backdraft?
Huh?
You seen Backdraft?
Backdraft.
The movie. Never mind.
What's that?
It's a movie back in the
About
day
a
where.
firefighter.
Have you seen it?
Uh-uh.
Oh man,
I'm just
Nah.
extrapolating.
it was like an exaggerated but the building got on fire and firefighters were dying and
Yeah.
stuff like that and yeah,
Yeah.
it could get crazy with the fires,
Right.
Because the smoke kills you for the actual fire. If
This
you-
is true. I did learn that you shut doors when fires. I did learn that, so that's good. But I learned that watching Rescue Me.